Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Love and Lore podcast, the podcast where we spread love through sharing our stories and life lore. In today's episode, I am joined with another family member, and she is my Tita. You can say hi.
Hello.
There she is. That's my Tita Leyn. And she's actually the third Diaz member on my podcast.
Yes.
So I've interviewed her husband, Tita Jubes, and I've also interviewed her daughter, Andy. Aside from my parents, she was one of the first people to tell me she was proud of me for doing this, and it really meant a lot. And she was always really involved, and she was always asking me questions about my podcast and really curious, and even wanted to be a guest from the very beginning. So I really appreciate it, first of all, for the kind words, because it was really hard in the beginning. We are going to be talking to her today about her career journey because she has a pretty interesting one from what I've been hearing.
I hope
Yeah.
it's interesting.
You hope it's interesting? I think it will. As a 20-year-old, I think it's really important that we talk about stuff like this because honestly, I don't even know what I'm doing, and I know a lot of other people my age might not know what they're doing, or no matter how old you are, if you don't know what you're doing, it's fine, right? And I know you probably have lots of words of wisdom to say. So growing up, what did your parents, first of all, say about career? Like, what was the conversation around career in your household?
Okay, to be honest, growing up, um, I had no clue. To be honest,
Yeah.
this is a very very honest answer. Like I always tell your cousins, that I had no idea. I don't have a recollection of me how I was in high school, like me studying at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up like we're only two in the family, right? Your dad.
Yes, she
Right.
is my dad's sister, by the way, who
Yeah,
was also
your
on the
dad
podcast.
and me. So I think I would think that growing up, I really do not know. Okay, let's do it back. Like when I was young, your dad is always, he would always have good grades and stuff like that.
He's an
For
engineer.
me, I think I'm more of like I would really acknowledge I gave a lot of headache to your Lola or grandma.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of, I always do stuff that doesn't really align with what your grandma wants.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in a way wherein your grandma's very strict, so she wants us to really focus on studying and stuff like that. I do remember like when I was like grade one, your grandma told me like, oh, you can't go outside and play unless you finish your school or something like that. So she's very strict in that kind of aspect wherein any parents would want their kids to have a good study habit.
Mm-hmm.
But I was very stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
I do get like, I think I kind of like wing it, but I don't really have a recollection of me studying in high school, and I don't even remember how I ended up graduating high school.
Oh,
All I remember was like I did enjoy my high school. I'm always with my friends. I have different group of friends,
mm-hmm.
and there were like choices in my first year or second year high school were in I think I told your grandma about this, but she knew like um I skipped class, and sometimes you think you don't get caught, and that was the first time I skipped class. And that was the first time your grandma went to school actually.
Oh my god.
And she got so mad that I skipped class, and she told me that, you can't be friends anymore with that person because it's not a good influence. Yeah. And it's very important that, you know, we make mistakes, we learn from mistakes. And at that time, I really listened to my parents. I value their advices, and I did listen to my parents, and I stopped being friends with that friend. But actually now we are in connected in social media. It's just so funny that we talk about it, but it's very fortunate that your grandma told me to, sometimes you think you know everything, and then your friends, in when you're like a teenager, your friends are very important, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, I really listened to my parents, and yeah, fortunately, I finished high school in that, because I went to that Catholic school in high school, and
Mm-hmm.
at that time, I don't even know what I want to do, to be honest. I just remembered I watched TV and I saw this TV personality, a newscaster, and I said, "Oh, okay. After high school, maybe I'm just gonna be a newscaster or something like that." Because I don't really know what I want. To
Yeah.
be honest, I really had no idea what I want. And with my parents, they are the type of parents wherein they would let you decide what you really want. I guess what's missing at the time from my end is that I could have asked them what could be their, what they could suggest, since I don't really know, but I think I never asked.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like try to figure out things on my own, which is somehow it's good as well,
Yeah.
because you learn from your mistakes. You don't know where you're going, you try to figure things out, that this might work or that might not work or something like that. So yeah, I ended up going to a university in Manila, which is
Mm-hmm.
like, I live in a dorm or a boarding house during my university years, and it was a very nice experience to be, to try to live away from home, try to
Mm-hmm.
navigate things on your own and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I finished my university, and I think at that time I was telling myself like, oh, okay, I want my parents to be proud, because I know your dad would always, he's very good in a lot of things, but I also want my parents to be proud of me. So
Mm-hmm.
I do remember I'm always, I always go out with my friends. I was fortunate enough, I had a good grades. I mean, modesty aside, I even ended up with being a dean's lister.
Oh
Where
wow,
yeah,
that's good.
you'll be surprised, right? I was yeah, I finished my university and in Manila. But at that time, all I can think about is that, okay, I want to be a newscaster, a
Mm,
broadcaster, or
okay.
something like that.
Okay. Before we move on, I want to go back a bit.
Yeah,
First of all, that's really inspiring. I think that's so cool. You're like a little baddie back in, a little rebel back in your early years of school, but you were still able to manage and get good grades and listen to your parents.
yeah. I just, I don't know. I wasn't that type of person at that time to be really super focused in
Mm-hmm.
studying. But I do know that I have to at least graduate from high school.
Mm-hmm. When did you start really seriously thinking about your career?
Even after I graduated in university, I worked in Manila, but not related to my what I finished.
Oh yeah, what did you finish with?
So I finished mass communications major in
Oh, oh
broadcasting.
cool.
I did some side jobs like as a production assistant. I don't. I think they call it
I didn't
production
know
assistant.
this at
Yeah.
all.
So in because we have to do practicums, right? We have to do
Yeah.
on the job training, and I do remember I did a a training or maybe a job while I was in university in San Fernando. It's a local station wherein I was one of the DJs. You
That's
call it
so
DJs?
cool.
Yeah. So I did that, I think, for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And then I also did a practicum in Manila. It's also a radio station. I was like one of those PAs. You know the PAs that you have to there's like big tapes, and then you have to
Mm.
because you have to put on those ads or something like that in
Mm.
between.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think I do remember I assisted. I was one of the PAs or I think in Ortigas, and then after university, after graduation, Some of my friends, they went to ABS-CBN.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And ABS-CBN, guys, is the news station in the Philippines.
Yeah, actually, that good friend of mine, she's still in ABS-CBN.
So cool. So she works behind the scenes? Or
She's, yes.
that's
yes.
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for me, I ended up working in a real estate, like in sales, because I don't remember why I did not apply for ABS-CBN. To be honest, I don't really remember a lot back in when I was in university. So I worked as a salesperson, like selling condominiums, Mega World, and that was because now I remember the reason why I applied for that job, because I dreamt, my greatest dream at that time was actually to work in Makati, because it's, those skyscrapers or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Makati, that was my really dream. So I applied for a job, and their office is in Makati.
Oh, okay.
So I worked in Makati, and then I sold one condominium. And then after that, I realized that, okay, enough for me in Manila. I want to go back home and just, stay home and find a job there. And then I went back to Pampanga, and I applied for a job there, as I think I started a job as a secretary or an admin. It's an automotive business group of companies, and I worked there for 8 years, 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not totally related with what I actually finished in university. The jobs that I have, I did back home.
So when you graduated with your mass communications, I didn't even know you did any sort of radio thing. Did you feel fulfilled in radio stuff? And did you feel fulfilled in your Makati job as well? Because it was your dream, right? So
it was a dream just to work in Makati, in that place, that vicinity. But the job itself, it's not my dream job.
okay.
Even after I graduate, I don't even know what was my dream job at all. All I know is that I have to work, I have to find a job because I graduated. And at that time, I was still kind of like immature. I think more of myself, because my dad, my late dad, he was always the one that would really, like, if I needed something, he would really give it to me. So I was so immature and thinking like all about these material things. Like, I love shopping, I love this. I don't have enough money, and then my dad would even lend his credit card. He would give his credit card to me to buy the stuff that I want. But looking back, I was so selfish. Looking back now, like at that time when I was like in my 20s, they never even obliged me to give a portion of my earnings to them to help them or something like that. My earnings were just basically for myself, for my shopping spree or something like that, because I was so mature, I was so selfish. um until until the time that your grandpa got sick, and that was a whole change of the perspective of everything. But the job itself, no, I don't even know what was my dream job at that time.
Were your parents supportive though?
They're very supportive. As just like what I told you, they just let me be.
Yeah.
They just basically let me figure out things on my own. They never force me to do stuff or something like that, like, oh, you have to go this or do this or do that. Sometimes you tend to be stubborn. You think that this is the path I want, but it's not the path that is right for you. I always believe that any parents, they really know what's best for their kids. So I was very stubborn at the time that, okay, this is what I want. And sometimes I listen, sometimes I don't listen.
Yeah. So that's a bit of your background. And then for your communications degree, I actually wanted to ask you, how convenient was it to have, especially in the Philippines and especially during the 90s as well?
With communications, I actually think of myself not even good in communications. Like, grammatically correct or something like that. I don't think I see myself as very good in that aspect. because English is not my primary language, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can communicate, but I don't think I would think of myself as a very good person grammatically. I guess with the communications in a literal way of, talking to people, I actually love talking to
Yeah.
people. That's why I also enjoyed, even though it wasn't my dream job when I was in the Philippines, being from an admin work to sales. I did enjoy working in sales
Mm-hmm.
because that's where I gained friends. I
Right.
met a lot of people from different walks of life.
Yeah.
Um, I think that is a true gift to really, interact with different people. But sales, the job itself, I don't think that is something that I miss. It's just
Mm.
the part of really communicating to different people and talking to people. That is the part that I miss.
Mm.
When I went home and I work in Pampanga, from an admin work to a sales work for a couple of years, that's where I really met a lot of different people from
Yeah.
different walks of life, from wealthy, from VIP to a person that you wouldn't think that he's rich given with what he's wearing or something like that. That's why you can never
Mm-hmm.
judge a
Yeah.
person. Just because that person is wearing flip flops doesn't
Yeah.
mean that that person is not very liquid,
Yeah,
meaning
totally.
very wealthy or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that is that's the part wherein I truly miss working in sales
Mm-hmm.
because I really love interacting or talking to
Yeah.
people.
I think too, like when finding a career, one of the most valuable things is your social skills and being able to talk to people, right? And you also learn so much. I think when you think of sales, you think of being at a desk all day, being in a cubicle, being in the corporate industry, right? But from what you've been saying, it's you got to meet a lot of people. And I think it's so important to be able to know how to talk to people. And yeah, it's cool that it impacted you that much. Do you have the most memorable person you met during that time?
I do have a lot of good memories because all the people that I worked um, in that automotive business, I'm still friends with them. They are actually Aiden's godparents.
Oh,
But the customers that I met, one of them was actually, I think he's a businessman. I hope he's still alive, but he's been like, I don't know, when I met him, he's like in his 50s, I think. And I've
mm,
been here for what, 20 years, 21 years. He would always walk in the showroom with, so the showroom is the sales floor with all the displays, cars. He would walk to the showroom with a brown manila envelope
yeah.
wherein it's super packed. And mind you, that's where he would put his cash money.
Mm,
And he would only wear flip flops, a white top,
yeah.
wherein it's not even a designer one. It's you would even see it like with holes or
Oh
something
my
like that. But it's
gosh.
actually very rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, I he when he, every time he comes to the showroom, he would walk up to me and we would still talk a lot.
Mm,
I do remember one politician. I won't name that person because I know flood control
it's
stuff is
controversial.
controversial. But I do remember that person bought a BMW, and the one thing I remember about him is that like, oh, let's go to the hotel because we have the taxpayers' money or something like that. So those kind of people that you meet, like they're wealthy people, businessmen and
Mm,
politicians.
it's really cool.
That was my last job before I went here, and I quit when your grandpa got sick.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a plan to quit right away, but because your grandpa was sick and I was pregnant at the time, so I stayed mostly in the hospital
Mm-hmm.
with him. And the job in the Philippines in that automotive business, through one person, that person was the reason why I came here. You know how sometimes you think there's some a situation in your life, and that situation is not favorable, and you might think, oh, I hate this person, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you wouldn't realize that God would give you that person for you to realize that there's a different path I want you to take.
Yeah.
So what happened was that I was so upset of one of the managers in where I used to work. I was totally upset because I think I was expecting, like, I was promised for a promotion,
Mm-hmm.
but they gave the promotion to another person. So I was so upset because I know I work hard for it.
Yeah.
But maybe, just like what I told you, maybe there's a reason why things happen, right? But at that moment, I was so upset. I said, and I knew my cousins were like, they're here in Canada, in Vancouver. I said, let me check Canada. I'm going to apply. So I applied, I think, on that day.
Wow.
I completed all the stuff, like I did my own research, how to apply as an independent, skilled, independent immigrant. So yeah, I completed everything, and it was because of that person that I don't want to work with this person anymore. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna just go somewhere without this person.
Yeah.
So that was the driving force for me
That's so
to
cool.
really focus on. So it wasn't really planned, just like what I told you, it was only on that moment.
Mm.
And now that I'm here, I actually thank that person. I would like
Yeah.
that. I think I thank that I messaged her
Wow.
and I told her that, because of her, I'm basically here. That's why I always believe that there are situations or people put in your life wherein you wouldn't realize what's the reason at that time, but you would later on realize, okay, maybe that was the reason.
Mm-hmm.
This is the path that I'm supposed to take. The application took about 3 years, I believe.
Yeah.
But the big step to start on that application that happened in just that at that night, on that day, wherein my emotions were super 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 high.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Were you already married at this time too? Were you
No,
pregnant or anything?
no, I'm not. I was still. I think my boyfriend was. No, it's not yet Tita Jovan. Yeah, I was with another person at that time.
Okay. Did you tell your parents that you were applying for all this stuff?
To be honest, I don't have a recollection if I did tell them, or I probably have did mention it to them that I was applying, but I was just so motivated in completing all the application, all the necessary requirements, all the
Yeah.
financial aspect of that. Yeah, your dad, he played a good he has a big role of in completing that application as well. So
Yeah, I was gonna bring up that point too. I think one of the biggest reasons my family chose to move here was because you lived here. So again, like it's like if it never happened to you, then my family wouldn't even be here.
yeah,
Isn't that so crazy?
it is crazy.
Yeah.
This just like what I told you. There were some paths that I took on, like thinking that those are the things that I want,
Yeah.
but they're not necessarily the things that God would like you to do or the path that He would like you to take on.
Mm-hmm. You said when your dad got sick, it changed your whole mindset on life, right? So you said you were more rebellious with your friends, not really too keen on school. And yeah, I think that shift from that to being independent and applying for to move to Canada, I think that's really cool. Like that growth.
Yeah, because I was really immature when I was in high school up until I think in my early 20s. When my dad got sick and he had to quit his job. He had to do he had to do an early retirement because of his illness. Of course, that your grandpa is like the breadwinner in the family, right? And that was the time that I realized that, wait, I think enough of this or something like that.
Yeah.
I have to do my share as well.
So a wake up call, right?
It's a wake up call
Yeah.
that, and also it's a wake up call for me to spend more time with family. That after after my dad got sick, that's when you would realize a lot of things.
Yeah.
That time is very very important. Spending time with family is very important, and I wish I could have save a lot at that time, because hospital bills in the in the Philippines is very when you get sick in the Philippines, it can be very very costly, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a big realization for me.
Yeah.
It was a big realization.
Even for me, like now that I'm 20, it's like I didn't just age 20 years, my parents also aged 20 years. So, yeah, it really just changes your outlook on life, right? And it's not
Yes.
until something like a health scare happens where you really start to be like, wait, I should probably like use my time more wisely and spend it more with my loved ones.
Yeah, and I remember growing up, my your grandpa would always we would always go somewhere as well. Not necessarily out of the country because we cannot really afford. But we go somewhere like outside of Pampanga. We visit friends, family friends, and then your grandpa would always bring us to Manila for Christmas shopping. So we always have that kind of family time as well. But I was more in when I was in my teenage life till adult. um, I just really want to have a lot of time with my friends at that time as well. So I feel like I wasn't able to balance it well when I was like in my uh, early 20s,
Mm-hmm.
because I was working already at that time.
Yeah. We'll now go on to life in Canada. So that was your whole background back home. So now here, you've moved here, you've made the big choice. And what is your official title now?
So currently, I work in an automotive a group of companies. I work in the corporate office. My role is the assistant payroll manager. The company just had 8 acquisitions in Ontario, so altogether, I think we are about 2,800 employees.
Oh,
Yeah. So been with the company. It's my 16th year
oh wow.
this year. Yeah.
Nice. I remember you said a little bit before this you worked at McDonald's, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, the struggle always when you migrate to or when you move to Canada is that they look for that Canadian experience. And especially with the program that I took in university, mass communications. I mean, it's not something that you can apply in any office work with that kind of degree, right? So I struggled in really finding an office job
Mm-hmm.
because I really wanted to do an office job. I came here first, and I was already pregnant with Aiden. The reason why I came here first, my visa was single at the time. When my visa came out, your uncle and I, we already have Aiden. I mean, in my tummy, but we don't want to risk in telling the embassy, Canadian embassy, that oh, I'm already married. I want to change now the status of my visa.
Mm.
So we don't want to risk that. So we decided to just go ahead with, with my visa as a single person. So I came here, uh, was pregnant for, I think was 3 months or about 3 months pregnant at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I went straight first to Surrey where Tita Saidi was staying. Tita Reng suggested that it's good for me to deliver the baby in Vancouver. Because you know how here, if it's just like in school, if your catchment is Vancouver,
Yeah.
you go to Vancouver, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you live in Surrey, your hospital will be in Surrey. So your Tito suggested it's good for you to deliver the baby in Vancouver. So I moved to their place here in Joyce Collingwood.
Mm-hmm.
Um so and at that time I don't know what job I should take on, and your Tita Marifi, she was the manager at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to her work in Arbutus, and I got a job. So I worked at McDonald's while I was pregnant with Eden.
Wow.
And I worked until 11 p.m. if I'm not mistaken, like 3 o'clock to 11, or I forgot whatever the 8 hours
Wow.
shift for until 11 p.m.
Oh my goodness. So McDonald's while you were pregnant too.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the entirety of your pregnancy too?
Yes,
Wow.
because at that time I really need to have insurable hours
Mm-hmm.
in order for me to at least have a weekly EI payments from Service Canada.
Mm. So during your pregnancy, your husband, Tita Jubes, was not with you then?
Yep, I don't
Oh my
have any
goodness.
family member like Tito Jovan. He wasn't here. Your dad, my mom,
Yeah.
and mind you, I came here 2 months after the passing of your lolo. So my
Oh my
dad,
god. Yeah.
right? I remember at the time when your grandpa passed away. Of course, I was thinking about your lola. Like, who will she? Because I think you guys are already in Mabalacat or in Manila at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was telling your Lola that I think I'm gonna give up my visa because I will stay with her. I was worried about her.
Yeah.
But then one thing she told me, this I will never forget, because I told her that I'm willing to give up my visa to be with her. And she said, you have to think about your family.
Mm-hmm.
You have your baby. You don't worry about me. I can manage, I can handle myself.
Oh.
Go ahead, go to Canada. Think about the future of your family and your baby. And I was so grateful that that was the greatest advice I got from your Lola. It was tough for me because, especially when you're pregnant, leaving your family, your partner, and you're on your own,
Yes.
right? It was really tough for me. Like, I remember I was crying the first few nights, but I did not call your grandma. You know why?
Why?
Because I you're because I remember what she told me, that I have to, toughen it off, but I can't really show her my weakness at that time. And I called Lola Cora.
Which is my Lola's sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told her, like, I want to go home. I said, like, oh my gosh, like, so it was so tough. Imagine being away, right?
Yeah.
I know I studied in Manila, but
This is different.
this is really different. In Manila, you can go home
Yeah.
after, take a bus for 2 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
But in Canada, it's like 16 hours flight, right?
Yeah.
So I called your Lola Cora and I said, oh, I want to go home. And then your Lola Cora said, you can do this or something like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I think having a job in McDonald's at that time helped me to at least get. I was busy. I was doing something
Mm-hmm.
that my mind wasn't really just about me going back home. When I delivered, I think it was midnight at the time. My water broke, and the people who actually went to the hospital was, of course, your Tito Reng, Lola Nasim, her kids. I'm just so grateful. I really have that supportive, relatives here.
Mm-hmm.
And Tita Saidi was actually the one who stayed in the hospital. She slept
wow.
on the, what do you call this? She slept on the floor.
Oh.
I was on 34 hours labor at that time. So it was really like, imagine really giving birth, going through that labor for more than 34 hours, 36 hours
Yeah.
without your family. Although I'm grateful I have your uncles, your aunties, but it's really different when you have your own family.
It's different.
It's
Yeah.
really different.
And fun fact, Tita Saidi is Athea's mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know Thea was also on the podcast 2 times now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's an insane story. And I want to just go back to the whole you going here. I can't imagine how hard it was because not only were you processing your dad's passing, but you're also processing just navigating being in Canada and the culture, it's so different and isolating and not and just not knowing what career is going to be here for you. And like even what Lola said, I've never seen this side of her either. So that really, when you said that she told you just think of your family, that really touched me.
Yeah, I think without without her words of wisdom, I wouldn't really realize a lot of things.
Yeah. And do you feel that it strengthened you? Yeah.
It did.
Mhm.
Because living your life back home and going to a new place, a new country, new culture, there's a lot of uncertainties. It's really a gamble.
Yeah.
But you also learn a lot of things. How do you navigate it? How do you make it work? When we came back here with your uncle and Aiden already, like he was like not even 1 year old at that time, we had to make it work. We don't have anyone to look after Aiden, right? So we rented a basement after 2 months of staying with Tito Renring. Um, we had to pay for the rent. So at that time, all I can think about is that it's not important anymore if I like the job, if I love the job, if I have my dream job.
Yeah.
I just all we can think about at a time is that we need to bring money in to pay for all these expenses, right? And so I continue with my job in McDonald's. I even have a second job. The airlines, they would have food, they serve it hot. I work in that type of job wherein we pack those meals. But that job is not really for me because I work slow. They really need, the fast,
Yeah.
the people that would really work faster in the kitchen. I'm
Yeah.
not really that. I don't really work faster. So yeah, and then we don't have a babysitter, so I work because your uncle has a heart ailment. So I was the one who actually worked graveyard, and then your uncle would work in a daytime job. But at the time, it was really tough. Imagine you have to look after your toddler, yet you have to sleep.
Yeah.
So it was tough at the time, but we have to do what we need to do. And I even remember I just to put money in the house, I even asked for a person that I work in McDonald's. I said, "Do you have any side job?" And said like, "Oh yeah, do you want to clean the house?" And I said, "Sure." So I ended up going to a house. I cleaned their house, and I never clean our house. I mean, I do know how to clean, but I never really cleaned the washroom back home. It was my first time cleaning a washroom.
Yeah.
I had no idea you're supposed to use gloves. So I was really cleaning the toilet and stuff like that. And I was like thinking like, oh my gosh, I graduated in Manila and here's my job, but
Cleaning
whatever,
toilets.
as long as it pays me,
Yeah.
I get I get money out of it, I'm okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think overcoming that it's very inspiring. What were the biggest motivations for you?
The biggest motivation for me to stay here was actually when your grandpa got sick. At some point, if you don't have a lot of money in the Philippines, you're kind of like limited as to what you can do. Here in Canada, as we can see, health system is you don't pay for anything, right? That's why I really appreciate and I'm so grateful I am here, you're here. Because back home, at some point, I felt like I was kind of like helpless. If only I have a lot of money, I can put my dad in the best hospital, like in Manila, or maybe he was not misdiagnosed or something like that. So, and that really motivated me to really pursue, aside from your grandma's words, to really continue and pursue my life here in Canada.
So thanks for sharing all that again. I think it's really inspiring. So going back to the job you have now, you said you've been here for 18 years, you said?
16 years.
16 years.
16th year.
How did you get here? How did you find that job from McDonald's, from these smaller jobs to this one?
So when I was working in McDonald's, I kind of like I've thought about it. I said, okay, I really want a corporate job or at least a daytime job. I want to find something that somehow would give me the comfortable life that I envision. When you say comfortable life, everyone would have a different definition of how comfortable they want to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, I said, okay, I want to change my job. So I decided to go back to school for 1 year. I don't know what else I would take. There was a time your uncle was thinking to take nursing, but at that time we already have Aiden. We're paying for rent.
Yeah.
Money wise, we don't really have that money to for him to go back to school full time and not work at all. So at that time I was thinking, okay, maybe one I'm gonna take accounting. I've
Mm-hmm.
thought of accounting. I don't remember why I've thought of accounting. So I did accounting for 1 year at Vancouver Community College. I went to school from I think 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock until 3 p.m. And then 3:30 or 4 p.m. to 11 I went to school, work.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my routine. And Aiden is already like a
Yeah.
toddler. So basically, I would come home around 11:30 or 12 midnight. Aiden at the time, he was really very playful. So the only quiet time for me and to really do my homeworks or study my lesson was actually when I was in the washroom. So
Yeah.
that was like a year. My life is really like 9 a.m. until midnight.
Mm. When did you get to spend time with him then?
Weekends,
Yeah.
yeah, I almost gave up actually, and because it was really tough. Like imagine that kind of
Mm-hmm.
schedule that you have for about the entire week.
Yeah.
But your uncle told me that remember you're doing this for our family.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of like kept me going
Yeah.
until I finished the program, and then I needed an employer to do my on the job training. And your uncle is already working in an automotive industry. And he asked the company where he's working if I can do my training. So I
Mm-hmm.
did my training in an automotive, but more on an accounting, what I actually learned.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, that company they sold the business because the kids they don't want to continue with the business. And until I saw a job posting of this company that I work for now, and I applied for the job. But the job I got was actually as an accounts receivable. It's
Mm-hmm.
not even related to my what I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
I was pregnant with Andy when I was it Andy? Now I forget, maybe Andy or Adrian. And then I went on mat leave, and then I called my boss and I said, okay, I'm ready to go back to the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And then my boss told me, like, do you want to do payroll and also the car desk? And I said, hang on, I've never done payroll. We had a payroll course, only one course, but the payroll itself, you need a certificate because you need to take 5 courses to complete the certificate, and after that, you take the leadership if you want to move up from an associate to a manager position. So I told him, oh, I did not even have any, a degree or certificate or education other than just one subject that I
Mm-hmm.
learned, and that's it. And then my boss told me like, um, it's okay, we'll train you. So I love challenges when it comes to work. And I said, okay, maybe a good
Yeah.
opportunity for me. I
Yeah.
love challenges. So I
Mm-hmm.
accepted the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, until I got a job. Later on, the full-time payroll person quit. And then my boss told me that I want you to do the job. But then I said, oh my gosh, that's like 1,000 employees, right?
Yeah.
And I told him, I don't think I can do this. But then my boss said, like, give it a try. I know you can do it. I did not really realize that. I think, at that time, this is all what I always tell them. Every time we would have team building, I always share my story to them that as an employee, and you have your boss would see some things that you wouldn't even think that you can do, or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't think that you can do it, but they know that you can do it.
Yeah.
So when he told me, like, give it a try, and I said, like, wait, but I want to go on vacation. That's what I told my boss. Like, I just, because when you do payroll, you have to do the payroll at least 2 times in a month, right? So how can you go for a vacation, right? And said, like, don't worry about it. Of course, you go on vacation. So that's where I accepted the challenge. And for me, I love challenges. I love researching stuff. Yeah, now we started at the time. I was only like by myself and one payroll person. I think 1,000 employees. And now we have about 2,800 employees.
Wow.
But in my team, I have 17 members.
Mm-hmm.
So we're a total of 8.
That's
Looking
cool.
after the BC payroll.
I think that's such a blessing that your boss saw that in you and that you didn't have to take any other courses to be in that payroll position. They just gave it to you, right?
Yeah, and also one thing, you shouldn't stop learning when you, for example, my boss trusted me this job. I have to also prove to him that, okay, you trusted me this job. I will make it work, and I will make sure that you will not have any regrets as well that you gave me this opportunity. When we were growing, I was interviewing a lot of applicants. My boss gave me this opportunity even without any education because I learned everything through experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel also for new applicants that they can't even put their one foot in that industry because no one would even dare hire them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I want to give them that opportunity the same way that I was
Yeah.
given the opportunity. And I do remember there was one person that he's a Filipino. He told me that it's been like 5 years or 10 years he struggled in finding getting a payroll job because he doesn't have the experience. And then we hired him and he got trained, and 5 months later he decided to leave the company, but he was able to get a payroll job
Mm.
right away.
Wow.
So I always believe that you also, because I was given that opportunity, you have to also think about other people wherein they lose the opportunity just because they don't give you that, the chance for you
Yeah.
to prove yourself that you can do the job,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's really cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing that as well. Yeah, so now you do payroll full time, right? Do you work also at home too? Because
Yes.
I was gonna say, whenever I come over here, I see her desk. It's like two monitors, and then she has all her spreadsheets out, her printer. I think it's really cool. I also think it's really cool because when you started the episode, you were saying how much you didn't like numbers and math and all that stuff, but now your job is pretty much all numbers, and that's really cool. It just shows that you can change. And
Yes.
yeah,
The re- I told you I don't like math, right? But
yeah,
you know the difference between payroll? Payroll is more of analyzation. You
yeah,
analyze things. You also need to have a good strong accounting skills as well because you need to know the debit and the credits. But it's more on also being on top of your toes, like legislations like
Mm-hmm.
CRA, employment standard, you know, you don't stop from just what you Google or something like that. Things have changed. There will be new policies, new stuff like that. So you have to do also your own research, and that's one thing that I like about my job right now.
Mm-hmm.
My brain cells are really working hard,
Yeah.
really working hard.
Mm-hmm.
We focus more of, aside from making sure of course everyone gets paid, we do a lot of analysis or reports. The one thing that is also I'm grateful for is that this is for my personal experience,
Yeah.
that in finding a job you should find look for a good boss rather than a good company,
Mm-hmm.
because and also a good the work environment, the people that you work with. Because even if you have a good company, but if your boss is, you don't really work well with your boss and your boss is not really good, you will be stuck in a very stressful work environment.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm just so lucky that my boss, I mean, he's very understandable. Even from the time that I told him when I accepted the position, I said, I'm a mom first before anything else. So every time I have the flexibility. If my kids would need me for school, for volunteer, my boss would allow me
Yeah.
to. So that's really one of the things that's why I stayed with the company, because of the flexibility. For a lot of years, I've been doing my job right now as a manager without the title. My boss kept on asking me, why don't you accept the title? And I told him, for me, I just want a job.
Yeah.
I'm not into a corporate ladder. I told him that's not my priority. That's not my end goal. I just
Mm-hmm.
want a job.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing a lot of my responsibilities back then, even without the manager title. Is I've been doing a lot until my boss offered me again couple of times. He offered me and said like, "Why don't you take it? You've been doing it." I said like, and that was the time that Aiden went to university, and I said, "I think I have to take it." Because my responsibilities now is really different when you
Yes.
have some you know, when you have kids who will go to university. And that's when yeah, I decided to accept the title, although I have been doing it for a
Yeah.
couple of years already.
I also think when you mentioned that accounting or your job is not just looking at numbers, but also you really get to exercise your brain on legislation and all these different policies. I think that's so important too. It's so important to be financially literate, especially in this economy. I don't know if I ever have a question about something like that, I can always consult you. I think it's so important. And I'm glad that you enjoy your job too.
It's very important that you
Yeah.
love what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very important. But when you have financial responsibility, when you have kids, you have family, sometimes it's not important anymore if you love your job, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bonus if you would really like what you're doing. Um, but at the end of the day, for me, what is important is that I have a job. I can do my job as well as a mom, and the work environment is not toxic. My boss is not toxic, so I think that's also a good bonus for me.
Mhm. Would you say that your current job is your calling?
I believe so. Because I learn a lot from my job right now.
Yeah.
The things that I cannot imagine that I would really learn, like just like what you said, in the world right now, you have to be financially literate. Knowing stuff really helps you as well.
Hmm.
You're in your day to day.
Now I want to move on to your opinions and philosophies on raising kids, and especially because they're getting older. They're almost basically halfway or almost done high school, and you have Aiden who's in university. Is your philosophy different from your parents? What what standards do you put upon them? Are they free to do whatever they want? What is your opinion as a parent, especially in this generation?
With my kids right now, let's say for Aiden and, well, all of them, growing up, I just really want them to have a good study habit. That's very, very important. I'm very open to them. All the mistakes, all the bad choices I did when I was in high school, even until in university or in my 20s, I tell them everything. I want them to learn as well from the things that I went through. I think I'm just fortunate that with them, to be honest, in now in their teens, I don't really have that much problem. In elementary, I was worried that Aiden, I was thinking, oh, Aiden might needed a high school where in the high school is very strict because he's not really like super focused. But I tried my best for them to have a good study habit. Things have changed when he was in grade 8. I think that's when I asked him this question. I said, why the 360 degrees change? Like from me reminding you to do this stuff in elementary, like, oh, you read, you do your homework, because the teachers would always give me that kind of feedback that, oh, I know Aiden's capabilities, but in high school he told me that he got interested in one course and that changed everything.
Wow.
And that was, I think, physics. Because I asked him that question. I said, what did I do anything to make you, because I've been really, I think I've been really reminding him so much in elementary, during his elementary days, to have a good study habit. But yeah, he told me that because he started liking one subject, and in grade 8 he already knows what he wants.
That's so cool.
And he told me, oh mom, I want to go out of province, apply to these universities and that. I think he was like in grade 9 or grade 10 when he was telling me that. And I remember I was driving, I was crying thinking
Oh,
that, oh my
no.
gosh, you're going to go out of province. Like, but then your uncle and we talk about it. I said, for me, your grandparents, they allowed me to go out of town. I took my university in Manila, and your uncle as well. So we decided to, we're gonna support him in as much as that we can with what his decision, as long as it is good for him. With the kids now, with my own kids, I just really want to make sure that they started off in elementary with that good study habits. I'm just very fortunate that now in their teenage years that I don't even tutor them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know what to teach them, right? I don't really imply for them to have all A's, to be honest. No. I do reward them if they have A's, but I don't really tell them that you really have to have A's. All I've been telling them is that high school, you cannot turn back the time. You need to enjoy your high school, but be responsible. So do your best. If let's say this is what you want, if you want, let's say Adrian, he wants nursing, but then the difference between him and Aiden, with Aiden, he already knows what he wants. With Adrian, he's asking me for any suggestions. So that's where I would really be involved. If he's not sure, like, oh, should I do this? Should I take these courses or something like that? I think that's where I would really step in and help him if he needed that kind of assistance. But all of them, I've been telling them that if this is what you want, of course you have to work hard on that.
Yeah.
It will not be given to you, right? So if you want to take nursing, you have to make sure that your courses are aligned with the program that you want to take after high school. And you have to make sure your grades are also acceptable to that college or university that you're gonna apply for after high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's a really healthy way to look at things with kids nowadays. And I want to touch on Aiden because we have the closest age gap. We're only a year apart.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember growing up with him, we were really close when we were little,
Mm-hmm.
right? And also, I did notice in elementary, I do know where you're coming from. I think definitely in high school, when he started going down the science route, physics route, I really saw that change in him too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed that now he's all the way in Ontario, right? He's studying
Physics,
physics
major
in
in
Ontario.
physics.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of him. For your other kids too, Adrian and Andy, like we're all very close. I'm just really proud of them, honestly. I'm super excited for especially Adrian's route because I was honestly interested in nursing too, and we relate to each other in a lot of different areas. And yeah, also for Andy too, I'm really excited for where she's gonna go. And I'm just very blessed to have them as my cousins, you know? They inspire me a lot.
Oh,
They
thank
do.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you guys did a really good job on parenting them too.
I hope so. I mean, any parents would just really want the best for their kids. Every parent would have different ways of showing their love, and their parenting ways are really different. But at the end of the day, I think they also want what's best for their kids. They have their own strengths and weaknesses. And I celebrate every accomplishments, or be it small or big. I've always tell them, like, for example, for Aiden, he's very good in math, he's very good in physics. um we're in maybe Adrian, math is not his strength, but it's okay, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you would have your own strength as well, and you have to focus on that strength. But even if you have that weakness, it doesn't mean that you also may be weak in that aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just that, like what I told you, in when I was in high school, looking back, maybe if I focus, if I'm going to tell my younger self that, oh, I'm going to study and I will put my 100% in this course, maybe I will really learn and enjoy that course. But because I did not really focus my attention in that kind of aspect, so that's why I don't even remember what I studied when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going through some things, I already know as a mom, but I don't want them to think that, I really want them to figure out things as well on their own,
Mm-hmm.
because it's their journey.
Yeah.
But if they needed me, and if I know that there's something's right, not right, then that's the time I would step in and remind them. This is what I've been telling them as well, that, you know, and also I put it in social media when I share their, those accomplishments or stuff like that. Having a degree is not a guaranteed success,
Yeah.
because you need about you have to think about as well life skills, coping skills. You can also be a street smart person, right? For me, it's not really a guarantee once you have a degree that you are successful. How do you find success? Success can be defined like you have a family, you're healthy,
Mm-hmm.
you have a work life balance. Some people might define their success as having a lot of money in their bank account,
Yeah.
right? Some people might define their success as they have a job that they like. So it really depends on the person and how you define success. But I always tell my kids that aside from having a degree, you really also need to have a good coping skills, the life skills, because you will meet and you will interact with different type of people. And when you meet or interact with a difficult person, that's where stress would come in. If your coping skill, or let's say how you would handle that situation is, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed, you have to think about the ways that maybe that person is going through a difficult time. So you always think about good of other people as well. So in order for you not to be stressed in a situation. So yeah, for them, I just really want me and your uncle we just really want to raise happy kids,
Mm-hmm.
happy and healthy kids. When you get older, your perspective in life, your outlook in life will really change. Of course, I let them decide what they want to take. I really don't just because we're Filipino, I'm gonna say, oh, do nursing. It's
Mm-hmm.
given, right?
Yeah.
But for them, I let them decide. As long as what they decided is good for them, then we will support them. But if what they decided is something that we know it's not good for them, of course we will suggest and we will mention something, or we would at least have a talk and discuss.
That's such a great philosophy. I really appreciate that. Because a lot of parents might not think the same, and their kids might feel stuck, or they might feel like they have to please their parents, and that can really mess with them mentally. So, yeah, I think you guys are doing a great job, and I'm really proud of your kids too, as their older cousin. We're gonna end things off now. I have one final question for you, and that is, what would you tell your younger self?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
My younger self, I wish I could have more time spent with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I have showed him how matured I, because he knew me at the time that I was so immature and I was so selfish, just thinking about
Mm-hmm.
myself. And I hope now, I know he's just around, like, I wish he could have seen um his you guys,
Yeah.
Aiden, Andy, and Adrian. And I wish, because for me, I love seeing places. I wish I could have bring him to new places.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, I had a lot. It's more of my dad, because I was really close to my
Yeah.
my dad.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually the one who would. I remember he would tickle me, wake me up, and then carry
Aww.
me from the second floor to the
Uh-huh.
dining. Yeah,
That's so cute.
and then when I was working already in my 20s, he would bring out your dad's car, because I was using your dad's car. He would bring it out, and he would park it in front of the gate, in Lubao,
Mm.
and then he would just give me the key when it's time for me to leave.
Oh.
So yeah, I just wish with my younger self that I could have spent really a lot of time with my dad, because time is really fleeting, and it's just very unfortunate that
Yeah.
he passed away at a young, was I think 50, 55,
That's really, really young. Yeah.
really young. And I remember before he was in a coma, he asked me, when can I have grandkids from you?
Oh.
He asked me that question.
What?
Yeah,
Oh.
he did ask me that question. And then, because I had, like, before your uncle Javan, the other relationships or boyfriends I had, they don't really like them. Their instinct is really,
They
like,
know.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's only when they met Tito Javan, that's the only boyfriend that they really like. And
Oh.
then your grandpa asked, like, oh, what can I have grandkids from you? Because you really want to have grandkids. And um, unfortunately, he was in a coma, but he can actually hear. He can he can't talk, but he can hear you when you talk to him. So at the time, I was already pregnant with Aiden, and then
Oh.
I I actually told him, I whispered to him that I'm pregnant. 2 weeks before his passing, I was in the hospital every single day. I did not even go home.
Wow.
But the last night of his passing, your dad said to me, go home and take a rest. I went home. Couple of hours later, Tita Mel, Tita Saidi's mom, was knocking on the door and said, "You have to go to the hospital."
Mm.
And that was the night that my dad passed away.
Mm.
I remember your dad's eulogy was that up until his last day on earth, he was thinking about my well being, that I was pregnant, that I might not be able to handle it well if I was in the hospital
Wow.
when he took his last breath.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm getting chills. That's so crazy.
It was really crazy.
Wow.
Imagine that for 2 straight weeks, I was in the hospital.
That's insane.
Did not even leave the hospital. Only that last night when your dad
Wow.
told me to go home and take a rest. And that was the night that he passed away. That's why, if only with my younger self, I wish I could have given that opportunity or the time to show my dad how matured I am now. I
Yeah.
hope I'm so matured.
I know he's proud of you. Yeah. I think that's a really beautiful way to end this, because the whole idea of this episode was your career path, right? And your journey. But at the end of the day, the one thing that you would tell yourself is not even career related. It's about family and it's about love. We are going to end things off now. I just want to say thank you so much again for sharing your story and for being so open. And for Lola Tatang as well, thank you so much for bringing him up again. I know when I interviewed my dad, we ended off talking about him too, right? So yeah, if he's listening, if he's in this room, then this is for him. Thank you so much again for being here, and I will see you guys in the next episode.